Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Insider, brought to you, and this is going to sound really weird, but it's brought to you by Vanishing Ink. I know, just for a change. My guest today moves things and makes them float, and he's done that for a jolly long time. It's Yigal Mesika. Yigal, how are you this afternoon?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. How's it going, Damien?
Very good, but it's a quick show. There is no time for pleasantries. What's your magic origin story? You've got 27 seconds.
What's the magic origin story?
Yeah, how did you get into magic?
Okay. Well, I got into magic when I was 10 years old. My mom took me to a variety show, and all of the performers, I forgot who they are or what they do, but one guy just got into my mind. He was a magician, and when I seen it when I was a boy, I thought this is real. I didn't know what's magic tricks. And that's kind of inspired me, When I seen it, I felt like, wow, life has so much to offer. It showed me like a sense of wonder.
Yeah.
And I felt, this guy can do everything possible.
Do you remember anything that he did?
Yeah. The first things that really got me, he produced doves. I forgot about that section. But in the end, he vanished all the doves. He says, I'm going to give you the doves as a gift. So he covered the cage with fabric, and he held the cage with the dove and tossed it away, and they're all gone. And I thought, wow, this is like fascinating.
How cool.
That's got me.
That's really cool that you remember the specifics.
Yeah. And you know what? The funny thing's like about a year later, I find out that this magician was living in my neighborhood. And he had a warehouse where he built all the magics. And he asked my friends and me to help him out one day.
Huh?
And as we helped him out, and we got one trick, magic trick, each one. And I tried it in school. Everybody loved it. And I became his apprentice. And I came every day after school to help him crafting magic and learning about the process, how to invent and how to develop and how to produce. And that's what I did all my childhood.
Oh man, that's so cool. The guy that inspired you, you ended up learning from. That's amazing and rare.
And he was the most famous magician in Israel. His name is Faust. And he was one of the pioneers, He has all kind of illusions, and that's what he did for a living. And as a boy, I looked him up, and I felt like, wow, you can do living out of being a magician. And that's what's inspired me.
That's so cool. Let's talk about the art of levitation. Mm-hmm. How and why did you get into it? Who inspired you to follow that path?
It's a great question. The first things I seen was a Finn John video when I was about 14. And my English, I didn't know even how to say good morning or good evening. I was very young, and my English was broken. And when I seen his video, he explained how to do the floating bill and different things. But at that time, magic was secretive, so he didn't teach even with a rubber band or something visible so you can see it. And the video didn't come with loops, so I didn't have the loops. But as I'm watching this, I felt like the explanation is impressive as the magic. And I didn't know how it's done, but a friend of mine had one package of loops, and he has one last loop. And when I went to his house and he showed me that, I was very fascinated. And when I hold it and it just snapped out of my hand, I felt like so terribly sorry. And I find a way how to make loops myself, because I always, since I was a boy, I was developing and making those things. And what happened, I heard that it's possible to get it out of stocking from the ladies. So I took my mom's stocking and I started to break it apart, start taking strings, and then I tie it some way and tie it this way and that way and play with it all day long till I found a way to make one loop. Then as I'm playing with that...
Hang on, that was one day. You figured out the...
Yeah, it took time. I told my friend, hey, don't worry, I'll get you that loop that I broke. I will get it back to you. Because I felt really terribly sorry.
Sure.
He had it for many years. And it was very secretive. And he says, touch it, but please do not break it. And I said, fine, don't worry about it. So as soon as I took it out, it was like snap. And it's like, for 30 minutes, we looked on the floor, we couldn't find it. So I felt like, oh, no, he had it as a souvenir for a long time. And I felt like terribly sorry for my friend. So make long story short, when I got into the stocking and I got one loop and I made it, and I came like a week later to him and I got him a bunch of loops. And he loved it. He was like so surprised and so amazed. And he was like very amazed how I've been able to tie it, to make a loop. But out of his amazement and other friends' amazement, I felt like, wow, I'm into something that they don't know even how I do it.
Yeah.
But to me, it was simple. To me, it was, yeah, but what's the big deal? And then as I see the reactions, I got more into that. And then I started playing with it all day long, moving forks and spoons, and start to play with the antipack and different variations because I have nobody to teach me. So I had to come up with my own ideas. And as I come up with my own ideas, I was 14 years old. Only a few years ago.
Last week.
Yeah, so long. Can't believe it. Almost 30 years. Yeah, more than 30 years ago.
So you're quite isolated then in Israel, and there was nobody else doing that kind of work, thread work.
Yeah, magic was very popular in a way of the stage magic. Everybody did boxes and illusions,
right?
And doves. Doves was very popular, dove act. And I was as a boy doing, classic magic, all the flowers and the silks and producing different things, and that was things that I loved to do. But the thread work was just a side daily things you can do for audiences and have fun, just as impromptu effects. And as I'm doing that, and I realize people love that, and I get so much good reactions, and that's got me one idea spark another idea, and that's got me involved into doing close-up, like very up-close magic that seemed as real magic, And as I go with the years, I realize, wow, it's not that I had a vision since I was a boy and I was like, okay, let's do that. It's one idea spark another idea, and then you find yourself finding a genre that I never thought about.
I vividly, my uncle got me into magic and got me Royal Road when I was 11, so very long time ago. But when I was about 15, at one Christmas gathering, he floated a bill for me, and I'd never seen anything like it. Now I know that he'd anchored the thread to the deck and put the deck down, and the thread was going there, But at the time, I was like, well, there's a thread. And then he did this. And I was like, there's no thread. And so I'm looking round and round like this, and it's floating. And it felt the closest to 15-year-old me to real magic as anything I'd ever experienced. Why do you think it is that it hits that hard? It still gives me goosebumps thinking about that memory now, a long time ago. So why do you think levitation resonates and hits so hard with ordinary people?
I think there is many answers to that, but to try to make it simple, it's so visually strong and it fits all languages. You don't have, you can speak Chinese or Hebrew or English, and you can still enjoy the visual. It's you're breaking the law of physics when you see something like that is completely break all the law of physics, and it's like so amazing that you float something and you show that there's no way that something attached to it, and it's create that moment that like you experience something new that you never seen before, and it's so visually strong, and it creates the impossible. As a magician, we create the impossible, and that's what it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
We first met many years ago at EMC when I was doing the marketing for that, and I had a very strong memory of one evening after the shooting had finished. There was, I'm not sure who it was, a cleaner or a cook or a caterer. There was somebody that wasn't in the magic world walking around the studio. And it was just when Tarantula had come out, I think, or soon after, and you did the ring. You did the ring thing with it landing on her finger, and the joy and amazement in her face was just beautiful. And this is after you'd worked all day. Everybody was tired. Filming had finished, and we'd done this amazing live streaming thing, and you're still there, and you're performing for this person in the studio. How often do you do that nowadays? Do you just randomly make this magical thing for somebody that you meet in your life? Is that something you do regularly?
Well, to be honest, I don't do shows. I really I most of the time focus on the product development and creating those ideas. and it takes a lot of time. And I realized since I was young, you cannot do everything, and takes so much time to perfect and manufacture and manage the business.
Of course.
So I stopped doing magic when I was 24. I started when I was about 12 doing shows, and I got many shows and very popular. And when I was 24, I had a medical issue, so that put me like with time like really feeling like very sluggish and tired and all of those things. So I couldn't do shows, so I quit for a long time doing shows. But at the same time, I had plenty time to develop ideas, and
Mm.
I isolated at home, reading books, learning different things, and explore many different options to come up with ideas that never been exist. But to make long story short, I don't do shows. Once in a while, I may do show just for the fun, but I focus on the product development, and usually doing it for fun, like for my friends and family, and
Yeah.
on daily basis. It's like I love it. It's like oxygen. I really love it and doing it. But only 2 years ago, I became more healthy and more into wellness and not jumping different subjects. But only 2 years ago, I started to feel better about my situation in terms of I had a medical issue since I was young. So all of that gone gladly. That's another topic for another day. But now I'm back. Since before the pandemic, I started to come back, and I feel like really great. Feeling like really, I wish I was feeling that good when I was younger, so I can continue
Right.
those shows
Yeah.
and while I'm doing development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the world is quite grateful that things turned out the way they did in some ways because we've got all of these wonderful products to enjoy. Tell us about the history of loops. So Finn John was the first. So how did it go
Yeah.
from that to where we are now?
Yeah. Finn Jones is the inventor of loops. I owe him like a big credit for come up with this brilliant idea. And when I was young, I come up with my own ideas how to make the loops with better quality, with better handling, with different effects. And years later, I've been going to conventions and show it to magicians. And they said to me, if you want to make this popular, you need to buy permission from Finn John. And once you buy the permission, that would be great. You can sell it worldwide and you can make great money and make magician using these amazing things. And I thought, wow, this is a great idea. I'll give it a try. So I find out that he has an agent. So I contact his agent and we talked, and he says, okay, we can talk more about this. And when I talked to them about the pricing, and they've been willing to sell the rights to promote this because they love what I do, and they felt, I'm really passionate and very young. And Finn was very busy with doing performing and shows, and his mind wasn't into a product development. He didn't have the time and the resources, and that wasn't his passion.
Yeah.
So he was willing to sell me the rights to get exclusive rights worldwide and to start manufacture that and sell it to magicians. So I felt very fortunate to get the rights. And I remember after I got the rights and we signed the contract, I was young. I was 21 years old. So we went to a restaurant in Paris and we had a great time. And after we signed the contract and everything, I showed him some magic, and everything I showed him was with loops. And then he goes like, oh my God, don't tell me you did it with loops now. And I'm like, that's all I've been using is loops.
So you fooled the creator of loops
No,
by using loops.
His agent. Yeah.
Okay.
So he was like really shocked that the whole things you can do with loops, moving different heavy objects, and
Yeah.
the hunted pack, and really like with this invisible strength, like so invisible, you can move like heavy object and do amazing things. And he was like, wow, I couldn't believe that you can do all those things. So that was exciting, that he gave me the green light to share these ideas.
Yeah.
And being amazed and appreciate it as well,
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably everybody listening to this and magicians all around the world have played with your loops, from professionals to hobbyists, TV work all round the world, down to somebody's house doing a haunted deck at the end of the night. How does it feel to have produced something so insanely popular that has lasted the test of time? What does that feel like?
It's a good question. To be honest, I started doing it since I was a boy. So, and when I was 21, I started selling it. So it was very exciting first to get the permission from someone that it was like my hero, you know. When I watched Finn John, he was, you know, the godfather of invisible thread. And I loved, you know, what he shared. And then being part of that and allowed to share magic of magicians, you know, worldwide and see their appreciations. It's always make me feel great. And I feel grateful and blessed to be part of, you know what I mean, this journey. It's difficult to describe in a word how happy I am with this, but it's allowed me also with time to explore different ideas, and to expand on that field. And
different ideas. Like, this is going to be really good for audio listeners. Different ideas, like this little chap here. Your new Spider Pen X. Now, it is slim, it's elegant, and it's very clever. Can you talk us through the journey from the original Spider Pen? When did that come out? 'Cause I was young.
That came out in 2004, 2005.
2004, right? Okay. So, talk us through the journey from that one in 2004 to this one here now.
Yeah. So I will go a little bit back so people
Please.
can get the sense of history. Before the Spider Pen was something called ITR, Invisible Thread Reel, which been very popular, and every magician has one. And I had one as well when I was young. When I was about 15, 16, I was exploring with this idea, and I was performing a lot. And I had technical difficulties when the thread was very visible, and it's breaking, and it's a nightmare to fix it. But overall, the concept was great.
Yeah.
So with the years, I always thought, you know, wouldn't it be great if it was something more invisible or something more easy, and if it breaks, you can fix it quickly, and so on and on and on. And when I got into product development and working with threads, I've been playing one day with an invisible thread reel that was exist on something on the market. And then I said, wouldn't it be great if it would be electronics? So as I'm playing with one idea, I think it was I tried to fit it into a cylinder.
Okay.
And then the cylinder got smaller. And when it got smaller, I realized, wow, looks great, like very small. But what would I do with that? You know, like how can I make the object more like a daily object that people can...
Organic.
Yeah, organic. And then I said, oh, this looks like a cap of a pen. So let's put a clip to it.
Was that it? Was that
so I
the
put
moment?
a clip to it. And then I got the pen, and I couldn't push the pen inside. So I said, how can I push the pen inside the cap? And then I remember when I was a boy, when I had a costume with like kind of a fighter or something, and I had a knife, that the knife was springy. So I made the pen kind of springy. So when you push it into the cap, make long story short, I came up with the first variation, and I sold it to magicians, and the reaction was like phenomenal, and everybody loved it. And I realized that I'm up to something. And as I'm selling many, I start to develop it and get it better and better and better. And, you know, for like 15 years or more, it's been always refinement in terms of the quality, in terms of the performance, in terms of the effects. All of those years allow me to do that.
Right.
Yeah. And the new one is all like completely different level, you know?
It really is, because one of the...
I felt I went
with nothing... Go on. with nothing but love, the first one, 8 batteries like I eat chocolate, and I'd forget to turn it off, and I'd come back and it'd be like, oh man, I just wanted to do it, and now there's no batteries, and I haven't got any of the stupid little batteries that you needed. Was it difficult to solve that problem with this? What was the... Were you sat there thinking, how can I fix the battery problem?
Yeah, that was, oh wow, that was many sleepless nights, years of development to make this happening, because the new one has a microchip that knows when it has no switches, so you cannot forget or need to remember any click on button like the old one. The old one is electronic, the new one is digital. It doesn't
Okay.
have any button, doesn't have any switches. You pull the thread, it's activate the motor, it give you the all retractions. It's almost like you have a big, loop or ITR, but
Infinite loop.
works constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can pull up to 40 feet, and when it comes back, it shuts off by itself. You don't have to click on anything. So doing the software, doing the electronics, doing the slickness of the pen, doing the whole product development, the effects, everything takes years of refinement and exploring so many ideas and prototypes to get it where it is. I could do something like the iPhone and every year selling another type of iPhone, but I'm not there to get the magician money. I'm like, yeah, of course, I'm happy to make more profit,
Of course.
but at the same time, I want to give the best of the best quality, something that wasn't there for me when I was a boy.
Yeah.
When I was a boy, I seen a lot of advertising that was false advertising. That me as a magician that making products, when I was a boy, I did those magic for myself because my parents couldn't buy me any magic because we didn't know if there was any magic shop.
Right.
And yeah, so I had to explore and develop those magic for myself out of necessity. So when I start to develop those things, I realize what's good quality, what's a bad quality. And when I bought something and I have to spend $200 or $300, it wasn't exactly what the marketing said it is. It was very disappointing. So when I start making magic, I didn't want people to feel that experience. I wanted to be so happy that when they get my product, they have 3 months guarantee. If they don't like it for any reason, they get the money back, no question asked. That's my policy for the last 7 years.
Confidence that you have in
I'm
what you're
doing
putting
it for
out
the
to the
last
market.
7 years on my website. There is a statement: you can buy the products worldwide, any shop. If you're not happy for any reason, you get the money back, no question asked. And I want people to even buy 2 of them. Have one that you use all the time and another one backup, just in case something, you lost one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a great feeling. From all that 7 years, I get only one return.
Really?
Only one return in 7 years.
That's testament to the quality of the product you put out, isn't it, really?
Thank
That's
you,
amazing. What else has changed with Spider Pen X? Because there's a longer weight on the retraction. Obviously, it's metal.
Yeah, the retraction
and lovely.
is more smoother. It's more flawless. The
But what
retraction
else?
of the
What
motor.
else have you changed?
The entire pen changed from the bottom up. It's now made out of stainless steel, so it's a better quality. More longevity. The battery changed, so everything is slimmer. The microchip, the software, it gives you a longer time with the Soul technology. So everything, like beginning to end. The video is new with new effects, like the one with the leaf.
Well, the Leaf is crazy, and all shot in 4K as well. Something that wouldn't have happened in 2004.
That's right. And some subtleties, and just a better product. It's just a better product. It just looks slicker, but at the same time, it doesn't look like a special magician pen. It's a writing
it
pen.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And you can write with it.
And people and magicians, from beginner to advanced, they can come up also with their ideas, like such as piquet touches and different things that they can do in their own shows. And I'm teaching like 5 strong effects that they can explore and enjoy, but they can come up with something that suits them in a different way, because it's like a magic tool, like a magic wand.
Yeah.
You can do many different things.
Absolutely. Can we, as I've got you, can we get into some specifics about thread? What do you think are some common mistakes that people make when working with thread initially?
I think the number one mistake that people do, they float an object and they forget. It's difficult to explain, but I see 2 types of magicians. Someone who floats something and it seems like really happening, like for real, is really floating it, and you enjoy it as an audience, and you feel like, wow, this is so amazing. You don't want to even know how it's done. You just enjoy that real magic. And then I see another type of magicians that doing the same effect with the same handling, with the same tooling, but there is something. There is a thread or there is something, and you feel like, this is a trick. And the big difference is it's almost like the magician that doing it the best is the one who forgetting the thread and focusing on the magic. So the thread is not there. Yeah, you can see it, but you have to act like it's not there through your facial expressions, through your body expression. Everything you have to communicate that it's really floating.
Yeah.
And once you signal that, people start to telegraph that kind of back and forth bouncing kind of telecommunication. And then they feel like this is really happening. But if you look this way and that way on the string and you float it and you start to act that way, it just
Game
doesn't
over.
look the same.
Yeah.
So the number one is to
it's
forget the thread.
you believe yourself that it's really happening.
To forget the thread completely. I know it's difficult kind of to trick yourself. But you're doing it for a purpose of entertaining. It's not like you saying, "Oh, look at me, I have a supernatural power and now I can heal you." It's not that. We're doing it for just enjoyment and pleasure, to create a sense of wonder.
Yeah.
So I think it's okay to lie to ourselves, to see that it's really floating and it's amazing for 1 second or 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And create that special moment,
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think the length, what do you think is the ideal time? Say we're doing a bill levitation and maybe it's stuck to your finger first or you've done the dancing over your hands bit. How long do you think is the ideal time for the full levitation?
I think, to be honest, the shorter the better. And it depends on the style of the magician and the persona.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Finn Jones says that once, that it's important to know the character of the magician. If you are, let's say, someone who has supernatural power kind of style, you want to make it short. But if you're a magician, they know that it's tricks and magic. And if you float it a little bit longer and it's part of your persona, then it's fine, like David Copperfield float himself, above people, above the audience,
Sure.
And
sure.
It's different style of magic, but people love that and appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah, like with the floating ring that I do with the tarantula. This is one of my favorite. You float the ring and spinning, and then it goes all the way down to the lady and dropping on her finger, and it's saying there is no threads without saying there is. You know what I mean? It's already there.
You're not over proving.
Yes. So the audiences, because you create that emotional moment, and it's so amazing to watch, they don't want to know even how it's done. They don't want to know it's threads. They don't want to know it's magnet. They tell me, please do not tell me how it's not that I'm going to tell them, but they tell me it's so amazing that I don't want to know how it's done.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty. It's like, if you do it right, the audience is on the side of the magicians. They want to enjoy. Of course they're not there to find you.
Yeah.
But if you do it badly, it's almost like they want to prove that you do it badly. Yeah.
For somebody new to thread that's listening to this, how do you work out or know whether the lighting environment is appropriate for you to do that sort of work?
Yeah. I think it depends on the apparatus. If you use loops, it's safer than using other apparatus. Spider pin has the finest invisible thread. It fits almost every surrounding of lights, but sometimes there is a lights that reflect, and it has a lot of reflection. Fluorescent is great because it has that diffusion, so it's more dimmed. So when I go to a room, I look, I see the light, and when I pull the string, I see if it has a lot of reflection or not. If it has reflection,
you actually do a little test.
Yeah.
Say it's a loop. You'll do a little test and look around, check the environment, and then you'll know where to position yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. There is some different rules and ideas that you can use that can help you diffuse the invisible thread, make it more invisible in a way that, let's say, if you use loops, you can use a shirt that has some diffusion.
Like a pattern shirt.
Yes, exactly. So that's diffuse, the light from not seeing the thread. Or sometimes if I move an object, I will do it on the floor, because usually the floor has a lot of distraction, it's not smooth. So I will do it on the floor if I move the glasses, or I move the fork, or I do the hunted pack. Usually don't do it down the floor. But with lighting, my number one rule, stay away 5 feet away from the light. If the light above, stay 5 feet either forward or backwards from the light. If the light is go above the head, it's not good because it's reflect on the thread.
Right.
But if you stay 5 feet backwards or forward, you are in a better stage.
Perfect. That's a
Yeah.
fantastic tip. Where do you find the best places to anchor the thread are normally? What
Need
are
to
some of
watch
your
those who need to know. They
favourites?
need to buy the Spider Film DVD.
And where could
Spider
they
Film
get that?
product. It's in there.
All right then. How do you get over the telltale wobble that sometimes levitating items have? What are some tips for listeners
Yeah.
to minimise the risk of that?
Right. When someone float an object, if it seems like not under control of the magicians, then it seems like something off. To the audience, it's communicate that if it's wobbling, it's maybe hanging on something. Because as a magician, you have to control the object versus the object controlling you.
Right.
But if you're doing this moves and the things is wobbling and not doing what you're commanding, then it seems like something off. It's hanging on something and not stable.
So how can you fix that?
How can you fix that? It's mostly practice
Okay.
and awareness. Once you're aware of that, you know what not to do. Let's say if you do it in the
Right.
wind and the wind is moving it in a
Sure.
way and you control, so it seems like it's almost like hanging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, on something. The audience may not see the string, but in their mind,
Something's wrong.
they see something's off.
Yeah.
And regardless if they see it or they don't, it doesn't look like you have these magical powers.
That you're claiming. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
When you're out at the bar or friends for dinner or something, what's your go-to? What's your favourite thing to do with your products?
That's a tough question. I have few. I have bunch.
You must have one that you do more than others, Yigal.
I like to start with something that suits the moment or the environment. You know,
Okay.
let's say if someone asks me, "Hey, can you hand me this napkin, please?" So I'll say, "Hey, can I show you something with that napkin?"
Ah,
And then I will do something with a napkin, and it seems like it's happened out of the blue,
right.
and it's not like stage. It's not like let me show you something.
Mm-hmm.
It is someone that hold these glasses in his hand and look at them, and I'll say, "Hey, can I borrow the glasses for something? I want to show you something special." And then I will do the things with the glass, and go like, "Oh my God!" You know, he will know that I wasn't prepared. I just did it like spontaneously.
Yeah. So you will jump off whatever's happening in the environment that you're in.
Yeah, I like to find that moment that give me the right start. But if I'm up there to do magic, you know, like very like strolling magic or enjoy and being as a performer, I even sometimes like to start that too, like to borrow something that they have in their hands, or just to grab a pen and say, "Hey, can you please hold that pen? Let me show you something interesting that you never seen before." And then I will get into it, build up, you know, the presentation.
Sure.
And then move the pen out of their hand, or do something that go like, "Wow, this is amazing," and seg into something else.
Perfect.
But I don't have a trick that I don't like. If I don't like it, I wouldn't do it.
Fair enough. Ridiculous question, really. Yigal, what excites you about magic today, apart from obviously your own products?
Yeah. What excites me? Well, I see a lot of YouTube's videos about many ladies that when I grew up, I haven't seen any lady magicians.
Right.
And now I see these ladies doing fascinating. They have such an amazing sleight of hands and good presentations. And I feel like the generation of magic should have both ladies and guys doing magic.
Completely agree.
Yeah, and it's cool to see different, you know, different people styling, you know, like I feel like the young generation have more appealing of something more modern, you know, more like fit with time.
Yeah.
When I started magic, it was like all tuxedo, it was black and white, it was the flowers and the silks, and all of this kind of gone. And I feel like we getting into the zone of using daily objects and using things that people are familiar with.
Sure. Instead
and
of
it's
weird.
not like some alien objects, you know?
Yeah.
And it's great because, you know, there's a lot of amazing young magicians that doing those things that seem so real that the audience appreciate it, you know?
Sure.
And that's excites me to see that generation moving forward in that style.
Absolutely, I completely agree.
Yeah.
As the father of a 7-year-old little girl who's into magic, I completely, completely agree. What's next? Can you tell us anything about what you're working on now, or is it
That's
all
tough
top
one.
secret? No, it's just you and me. No one's else. No one else is listening. It's just us, Yigal. What's next?
Wow. I'm working on something new that will hit the market hopefully in a couple of months. But I can say that it's not related to invisible thread work.
Ooh,
Yeah.
there's a scoop. There's a scoop.
Yeah, something new. But I think in a way it has some kind of, it's difficult to say without giving too much.
Okay.
It has something that related in a way to threads, but it's not invisible thread. But but it's really good. I feel like this is going to be appreciated with a lot of magicians because it's a classic item.
Okay.
That's innovations on a classic item that been done, but in a way that it's whole new again. Yeah, and I can't wait to put it up.
What a bombshell to end on, Yigal. We always finish the show with 4 quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
Favourite pizza topping?
Favorite?
Pizza topping.
Pizza topic.
Topping. What do you like to put on a pizza?
Mushrooms.
Okay. Favourite person or people who make music?
Peter Gabriel. Or Coldplay.
Okay. Favourite movie?
True Romance.
That's a good film. And finally, who would you rather fight? One massive Andy Gladwin or 100 tiny Joshua Jays?
You know the answer. The first one. Yeah.
Yigal, thank you so much for giving us so much of your time. And I understand you've recently refreshed your website. So where on the internet should people go to find your new spangly clean website?
My website is yigalmesika.com as my name. So it's www.yigalmesika.com.
I will
And
leave
thank
a
you
link.
for the boost,
Of course, I will
Appreciate
leave a link in the show notes and on the blog post accompanying this. Yigal, thank you so much for giving us so much of your time and such brilliant advice on the work that you do. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon, for allowing me to share the knowledge with your magician viewers. It was an honor, and I hope we can talk again soon.
You take care. Lovely to see you.
Awesome. Cheers. Thank you.